welcome to Amethyst Star Crafting. My name is Jane Ormark and I'm a UK independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. And I said that I would come back and do some ideas with the poppies and using vellum. I don't use vellum very often, but there are poppy elements in there which have this absolutely beautiful little, hope you can see them, little elements that are embossed out of vellum. So I thought, with that in mind, I would have a look at some ideas of doing some things with vellum. So, first of all, I've just cut some sheets of vellum down to go onto my cardstock base. And the first thing I thought I'd do was to take one of the embossing folders, and I've chosen the Tin Tile Dynamic Texture, the really sort of thick one, but you just follow the directions for the sandwich. So what I've done is, I've put it through with a piece of Whisper White cardstock at the back because I think that it helps to not over press the vellum through. So we've now got a rather fun piece of vellum which has the embossing over on it. And I thought we could just sort of add a little bit of colour to it. So let's, we want to choose the sort of the purplies because that's what I'm doing. So I'm going to take, I think probably Highland Heather. That might be a little pale. The only thing with vellum is that you do find that it does come out a little paler because it's going through the vellum. But I thought that if we just used a sponge and very lightly sort of went over, and you can see that I haven't, because I've put the backing on, you don't get it so that it goes right the way through and gives sort of little tear marks. Vellum is thinner than cardstock, and that can sometimes happen. So that's my little tip, is to put a sheet of white behind, because again you're going to use your white, and it's basically a 2-for-1, isn't it? So I'm just going to finish off doing that. Round down on that side, and it's just picking up that embossing and just giving it a little bit of a highlight. There we go. Just going around the edges a little bit. And like always, you can spend more time than me, but that's given quite a sort of a pretty and again quite subtle background. So if we put that on, for example, I've got this, we could actually put it over the top of the embossing underneath, which will give another layer, or we can put it just straight on to a piece of white. Let me grab a piece of white cardstock. I've got some cut here. Try and put them out the way so I don't get my grubby fingers all over them when I'm working. So let's take one of these. Now this is going to be exactly the size, so that will actually work quite nicely. And that's the exact size. Or you could put it on with a little bit of a border. So this is what I would do for my mat. And I would have white behind this, because if you're wanting to do a quite... Oh no, that's the same size as well. Ignore that piece. Okay, so that's sort of one piece that we can do. And the second piece that I want to do is to take just a plain piece of vellum and just put it over the top to just mute the background a bit. Now, if you remember, I was working with these yesterday, and I wanted to show you how to sort of finish a card with the vellum on the background, and I really like the fact that that's just muted it a little tiny bit. Now, Sticking vellum on is never the easiest thing in the world, and I'm not going to say that I'm a professional on that, but we'll work at some ideas for that later on. I'm just trying to do this relatively quickly for you, so I want to show you one other idea. I have die cut out some of the shapes. So this is the outline of the poppies. So you've got your poppy die like this, and then you've got the inside piece that will go like that. And there's a die for this. So I've cut one of those out, and then I've cut a white one out because I want that to go on top. But I have used an old mask. I tend to take one which I can use for other things. So this is one that I've coloured over. And what I did was, because again, I wanted to have that variegated look. And with vellum, you will get a paler look because it doesn't colour on there. So you can do it a few times. So I have got the dark and the light rich raspberry. And I'm just going to show you quickly on one of these that if you then take it up and just colour in on there, and then take the light, as you would do a normal blend, you get more of sort of a stained glass type look, because it does, it lies more on the surface and gives that sort of, mottledy type look. So anyway, wait for that sort of to dry. But then if you take this off, because this is your mask you can use again and again and again, so I have one like that, then you can take your white piece and we can put that over the top, and you've then got a rather nice sort of muted vellum look on the back there. So that's another piece that we need to put together, and then I've got a little black centre to go in there. So that will give us that one, that will give us that one, that will give us that one. Okay, let's start trying to put some of these together. So, silicone matte. These are ideal for so many things. They really are. I use them all the time. And any glue that goes on here will come off. So, if we take a little bit of sponge and we take some glue, and we squeeze the glue onto the mat, just sort of a blob of it. Don't need too much of it. And then you need to just sort of load up your sponge. And then you can, so let's do it on this one. You can take that I can put glue on, but you can take your vellum piece and just put some glue down it where you want it to go. And because you're sort of doing it, I'm trying to do it so I'm not getting it everywhere, but just sort of go around the edges as you would glue it. It doesn't tend to leave, okay, let's put this on here. It doesn't tend to leave the same sort of marks as, says me, hopefully getting it in and getting it straight. Whoa, that's not straight at all, is it? Let me line this up like that, and then it's very difficult with vellum because it just wants to stick on straight away, but hopefully we'll get the border relatively straight. That'll do. It's a little bit out, but so if you then press it down, it doesn't leave the same. Once it's dried through, you don't have the same sort of blobs running all the way through it. And you can also do it for the back of things like this. So might as well use the little bit that I've got over. Like that. So that's the piece on there. Take this off and then we can just adhere it to this one. So, and if you sort of work round, you can see where the little bumps are that it fits on perfectly. Sort of slide them around a bit and then it will come in like that. And then we've just got our little centre to go in on there. Okay, so that's that piece on there, that's that piece on there. We've then got this piece that we can put on. However, I think I'm going to do this one just with the plain because I quite like the plain. So we've got this on here. I'm going to use this one that I used yesterday, so I would put that in the centre. Now, some other ways with bits of vellum. I have done a couple of the leaves and I've coloured them in, and I've also given them a little bit of veining. So I would put some white in with it as well, so you've got some plain, and then if you tuck the vellum in underneath, sorry, tuck the white cardstock underneath and the vellum over the top, you get that really nice sort of variegated pattern coming through, and the vellum shows up just a little bit more. So if you put it in like that. So with this one, we're going to take the vellum and literally just with a piece, I think I've done green on that, just with some green, let me just get some green out, really doesn't matter, whoops, what colour you're using. And all you're going to do is literally just, whoops, just sponge it straight across on your vellum, and you will get, you can do it several times if you want to, but then that gives you a really nice variegated leaf. So you can see that's slightly paler because I have done the other one 2 or 3 times. Once it's dried off, just give it another coat. And again, you've got different types of leaf, which if I do this one just in the white, so if I put the white in under here and then just have vellum on its own just over the top, it just gives almost that sort of little shadow piece on. So there's various things that you can do with it. I will finish this card afterwards and put that as my main sort of focal image for when you come on and see. But I just wanted to show you a few ideas with vellum because it's something that I avoid. And I will try doing, and maybe we'll have another video of that, showing how to do the larger poppy with the embossing on and see how that works. So thank you so much for watching me. Do look forward to seeing you again. Bye-bye.